Mexican Coke.
Yeah. Viva la vida más fina. I had to. I didn't want corn syrup last night. I wanted real sugar in my Coke.
No, that's cool. Is that and listen, I'm all about it because I'm all about cutting sugars. But
Yeah.
like this corn syrup thing, is that like your new vendetta? Like, are you like, nah, I don't fuck with corn syrup?
No, I think I could just taste the difference. I can taste what corn syrup tastes like, and I don't like the taste. And that
Minnesota.
yesterday, I wanted to have a pure sugary Coke.
Yeah.
You know, actually, I've been trying to go on the diet scheme lately. I've been trying to get diet lemonade. I've been trying to have less sugar intake. It's unfortunate. I used to love sugar, but now it doesn't do so well.
No, that's my thing. I have a lot of vices. Don't get me wrong. Look at me, but sugar has been the one that I'm like, I am cutting that shit out like as much as possible.
I'm trying. I went to Vegas and I got that yardstick margarita.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the alcohol didn't get to me. It was the sugar.
It's sugar.
Literally
dude,
the next day, I was like in a catatonic state because of it. And then later that night, they're like, should we do that again? And then I'm like, FOMO, let's go. And so I got the second one. And then I drank it down. And again, I was like, oh, there's sugar. And just I had like IBS. It was gnarly, man.
That's the thing that I'm kind of like spearheading in the family. I'm like, no, we're going to cut sugars. And my boys even like, I don't want that because it has too much sugar. And then I have to play this game of like, okay, well, I don't want to give you like a, you know what I mean, eating disorder. I just just want us to be aware.
Be more conscious of it.
Yeah.
No, this is a special treat. I think I usually try to get something that's diet or sugar. I still don't like the aspartame in Diet Coke. I guess there's aspartame in all the diet stuff. So I'm having a little bit of an identity crisis with myself.
I get it.
Yeah. We're not here to talk about sugar. We're here to talk about nerd shit. Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd, the podcast where two friends, two amigos, two bambinos come together to talk about nerd shit. Ed is still on paternity leave.
He had a baby.
He's doing well.
Ooh.
I put something in the news, our news document here. Did you see this?
It's big news.
What does it say on the doc? Can you read that?
It says DDL is back. I said DDL Jizzy. Okay. I said I know what this is.
Who do you think DDL is?
Oh, I don't think I know. Okay.
Oh, who is it?
Daniel Day-Lewis, baby. That's
right.
Back. All right. He is.
Yeah.
And I think it's really funny because they're like, oh, Daniel Day-Lewis is coming out of retirement. And I read a tweet earlier that was like, can you call it coming out of retirement when you do a movie like every 5 to 10 years already? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, this is just like a pattern for him at this point.
It's just like a career for some people, you know?
Yeah. And it's also just like, he's coming out of retirement, the tweet I read initially was, he's coming out of acting retirement to yada, yada, yada. And I was like, are you implying that he's also working on the side? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine he like is like, I'm very serious as an actor, but now I have a job. Like, I just like,
sometimes I drive Uber, you know, I like talking to people.
Like,
still.
I just like, I can't sit around all day. I got to do something. He's like a greeter at Walmart. And you're like, that's Daniel Day?
He's the best greeter I've ever seen. He's coming back to star in Animon, a film he co-wrote with his son, Ronan Day-Lewis. Yeah. How many movies do you think Daniel Day-Lewis has done?
Okay, you're gonna quiz me. Listen. Overall, of the course of his career, how many has he done? He's a quality over quantity. You know.
Yeah.
He's gonna do less movies than you think.
I asked the internet this question. I said, how many?
I'm gonna say less than. And you tell me if I'm right or go up a little. Okay. Less than 30 movies.
Okay. So I asked Google.
Okay.
The internet, who knows all.
Okay.
And you know what they told me?
What?
I said, how many movies has Daniel Day-Lewis been in? And Google tells me, at least 20.
It said at least 20?
Yes, it did.
Bro, Google is going downhill, dude.
I'm gonna give you dude, can we talk about that? The AI searches for the Google has fucked me up.
You want it to be helpful, but it's just like, I come to you for like specifics. Okay.
Yeah.
Now do you remember when you were in high school or college and they were like, don't go to Wikipedia. It's not a good source. Like, even though it had a lot of like valuable information, they were like, it's not a credible source. I feel like that's where Google is now. Like, what is this information you're giving me? Maybe 20 movies? You're supposed to know.
I know. And sometimes I ask it a question and it's pulling sources from 4 different things. And each of those things contradict each other. And it's like, go to your settings menu and then go to your Mac Apple. And it's like, oh my God, it's taking iPhone directions and Mac control directions and putting it as one.
Crank it up. Think about those people that hop on WebMD and are like, do I have cancer? You know what I mean?
And
so you Google symptoms, and then Google is telling you this, that. And like you said, they're all contradicting each other. And it's like, do I go to the hospital right now, or should I just go to sleep?
Are things okay? Just sleep it off.
Just tell me. No.
I hate the AI. It feels like ads now where I have to just keep scrolling. Like it'll give me the AI answer. Like, nope, keep scrolling until I can find a credible source. Like, just give me the sources. You know, I understand you're trying to make it easy, but we're just not there yet. So
the comment on the internet a lot now is just like, do you remember when Google was good? You know, like Google used to be, it was like a game-changing search engine. You would not go Bing, you know, you wouldn't go anywhere else. And now you're kind of like, oh man, I don't know. Google is still Google, but I don't know. It's not great.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I ask ChatGPT some questions and I feel like they know a little bit more than Google. So I just have a conversation. I'm like, hey,
sorry, I feel like I'm going to go on like a million tangents because we don't have a set list. Do you still pay for that ChatGPT subscription?
No, I just paid a month for the joke. For that one joke episode.
Hey.
Which if you haven't listened, go back and listen to when ChatGPT was one of my guests on the podcast. We had a good time. His name was Charlie. He was pretty cool.
Have you seen sorry, again, I'm just gonna tangent.
No, go ahead.
Have you seen all these videos where like the AI voice, like they're trying to like push the boundaries of how AI sounds? And so you can like hop on AI and go, and they'll be like, oh, how are you liking this conversation? Like in a regular computer voice. And they'll be like, it's good, but can you try like this type of accent or this type of dialect? You know?
Yeah.
I saw one where a Jamaican person was doing like patois. Is that how you say it?
I think so. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like that Jamaican language. And then I saw someone who talked to like in Ebonics, you know, and it's like weird, like the switch of this like AI voice being like, Wagwan, you know, you're like, whoa, wait a second. So half a second ago, you were like, and thank you for joining my chat. You know, like,
I saw a tweet of that. I think who's the guy who made Rick and Morty? Dan Harmon.
Dan Harmon, yeah.
Dan Harmon did the same thing where he's like, I need you to become a pessimistic character who can only speak in riddles and blah 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 blah. Like you could basically craft a whole character from ChatGPT if you train it to. Daniel Day-Lewis is coming back. So he's going to come back for his movie, for his son's movie. Tune in. When will that come out? Who knows? Not Google.
I was going to say something earlier. We went on a tangent. Man, first off, nepotism. Okay, number one. Like, it happens. And it's like, it can be good. It can be bad. It's however you feel about it, whatever. But can you imagine, Luis? Okay? You're like, hey, not only did I co-write this movie with a famous person, but I'm getting him to star in my movie. And also he's my dad. And also my dad is Daniel Day-Lewis, arguably like one of the greatest actors of a generation, you know? And he just was like, And also, like, you know, his whole thing is like method acting, right? And, you know, there's all these stories of this and that. But can you imagine, like, if he showed up on set for his own son and he's like treating him like a dick, like the entire time? You're like, oh, okay, all right. You know,
I think this story is about a father and a son.
It's about a father and a son. Yeah. Exactly. So he's like,
so he's been method acting his whole life.
Bro,
he's like, I'm training for this role.
He's not only method acting, he's like bringing in like personal things. And he's like, the son's got to be like, I didn't realize we were going to do that. Okay. All right. Yeah. That was a personal, I don't know. I just think it would be awkward working with your dad. And your dad, 1000%. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Well, you know who's fun working with their dad is what's his name? Sean Levy?
No, not
Eugene Levy? Eugene
Sean,
Levy.
Dan. Eugene and Dan Levy. Yeah. Yes. Sean Levy directed Deadpool.
That's right. Not related. No,
related.
Eugene and Dan. Yeah,
they seem to be having a good time. Did you know, by the way, that Eugene Levy has like 1 million kids?
I know he has Sarah, right? She's also in Schitt's Creek. She plays the waitress.
Yes, but no, he's got like, I think 10 kids. And could you imagine, again, just being the two? Him and Dan Levy were up on the Emmy stage last weekend or two.
Oh, and, you go to Nordstrom and Dan Levy's over there offering you cologne. You know what I mean? He's just like everywhere. Yeah.
And you're the other kid. You're like, you know, I'm a doctor. Like, I'm important too.
Oh, have you seen those pictures of of Henry Cavill and his brothers?
Yes. And people have the gall to be like, oh, he's the handsome one. They're all so ugly. And I'm like, they all look perfect chin. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you wish your chin looked like that. Okay.
But he does stand out. He does stick out.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
There's like everybody here, and then you have.
For some reason, the eye is drawn towards Henry.
You know? Well, he's in the middle, puffing his chest, puffing his chin out.
They're like, bro, you're not even wearing the S anymore. Like, stand down.
It's his wedding over there. Okay. Why are you in the center?
It's not your fucking deal. Oh, man. That's an off the rails episode. I can't wait to keep going.
Well, let's keep moving on up to trailer talk. Remember that? Trailer talk. Do you remember that when I used that voice?
Yeah.
Babygirl is going to be a movie with Nicole Kidman. You just saw this trailer.
Just now. I got a live reaction basically for you.
So she is she's a badass bitch. She owns her own business,
CEO of a company or whatever.
She's a high-powered CEO, and she's going to put her career and family on the line when she begins a torrid affair with a much younger intern.
Oh yeah.
She just did this recently, this age gap lover situation.
With what?
She did it with a previous Netflix movie. It was called A Family Affair.
Oh.
Came out in 2024, and her young lover was Zac Efron.
Yeah. She also did that movie a few years back where her husband, I don't think it was a lover situation just because of the parameters of this story. Her husband died and was like reincarnated as a young boy. Do you remember that?
What? Hold on.
Do you remember that movie?
No, I
want to say that was
movie.
Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman's been on a vibe lately.
She has.
But yeah, I just while you looked it up, I just watched this trailer and I gotta say, what a sexy ass movie this looks like. You know, they're clearly like, this is a sexy movie.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need that.
She's got those eyes. I don't want her looking at me with those eyes. I couldn't take them. She just looks into your soul.
I got it right away. I was like, they look like they vibe. And then her hot ass husband is Antonio Banderas.
I know. I couldn't believe that. I was like, he's in this movie?
And you know, it's one of those movies. Here's the deal. Okay. In a movie like this, it's kind of tough because the cheating angle, some people are very touchy about that. Okay.
Yeah.
But then you look at this movie and you go, well, it's okay because he's Antonio Banderas. Okay. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, he's going to get whatever he wants as well. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is a hot ass couple and she's like on the side. Like, okay, fine. I don't know. Yeah. I was kind of into, the more I watched this trailer, I was like, oh, damn. Like, they're doing this.
Things get steamy.
They sure do.
It's a steamy movie. Nicole Kidman. I don't know when it comes out. The trailer just dropped.
It's got to be Christmas because they're pushing this Christmas angle.
Oh.
The entire trailer is like Christmas music, and it's like, I want to say it's even this Christmas this movie comes out.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. And then they're just like moving. It releases December 25th. So there you go. You nailed it. You caught
Christmas
the vibe.
Fucking day. There you go.
You want to get sexy on Christmas Day? Go check out Babygirl with Nicole Kidman at an AMC theater, and you'll get double Nicole for the price of one. There was also another trailer called Music.
Yeah.
Wow. Pretty general title for a movie. So you might be wondering, what is this music about? Well, it's music by John Williams is actually the name of the documentary. It's going to release on Disney Plus November 1st. And it's just a documentary about John Williams and why he's incredible and amazing. And I don't think there's anything that's kind of chronicled his from beginning to end. Well, he's not dead yet, but you know what I mean? Where his career is now. And you finally get to see John Williams young. Like that, he looks the same.
He's one of those
80s.
I was going to say one of those guys that's just like perpetually old.
Yeah. He's got that same look, the same cut.
Yep.
You know? No, I'm excited about this one. I feel like I'm interested to get behind the mind of John Williams. Randomly,
I tell you what,
Coldplay was in there. What's his name? The lead guy who married Gwen Paltrow.
First off, Gwyneth Paltrow. First off, it's hilarious that you called him Coldplay because that's like a running joke in my family. I can never remember his name, and I'm like, oh, Coldplay.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's in it as well.
He's in it as well. Like, why are you here? You know, I mean, we have like all these directors, and then he randomly pops up. Maybe they had a collaboration.
Well, I would just say that Coldplay is they get dunked on a lot. Like they're kind of like the Nickelback of their genre, but Coldplay is legit an amazing band, and he is like a contributor to the music today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no,
he's not in The Voice, right? I could see him being in The Voice. He's like, you're on my team now.
You know what? He 100% could, but he's got that level of fame that he doesn't need it. You know,
maybe 20 more years he's going to get there.
I don't know.
His name's not Chris. I don't know. His kid's name is Apple. My tongue. I know that.
Yeah, and Bookcase or whatever the other one is.
No, it's not.
Like,
not Bookcase.
No, it's something ridiculous. I swear. It's like, oh no, you guys. No, I remember that joke.
So yeah, music by John Williams comes out November 1st. We also have The Last of Us 2 trailer. It came out on The Last of Us Day.
Now let's actually bullshit aside, let's talk about something for a minute, okay? Like this is something
ground.
This is something we're gonna talk about, okay?
Okay.
I just went back. I told you recently. I just went back and listened to our Last of Us episode when you've played Last of Us Part 2, which you should go back and listen to that episode. I realized when I clicked on that episode, it's like a 2-hour long episode. Yeah. The first hour is us with Ed, and then Ed leaves so we can talk about Last of Us, and then a whole nother hour happens. I was like, yeah,
that episode up, but
we should have. Yeah. That's whatever. But we locked the fuck in for that episode. But yeah, so Last of Us season 2 is coming out on HBO Max, and they seem to be following the storyline again, like the first season, to a T.
Yeah,
but we're getting some minor alterations.
Right.
There's going to be major altercations. But I'm kind of curious to see if they're going to deviate from some big moments or if they're going to be really true to them as well. Mm-hmm. I think what we saw in the first season is they really adapted in the full sense of that word, that game, while stretching the boundary as far as they could with what they could do with the already established material. And I kind of think that's what we're going to see this season as well.
Yeah, it's like in episode 2 or 4, when he has that partner at the very beginning of the well, not the beginning, but the beginning of that story where they go out and they like ravage and then they find stuff.
Yeah.
What's her name? Him and
Tess.
Pedro. Tess. Yes.
Yeah.
So they altered how spoilers for Last of Us season 1, but they alter Tess's demise compared to what happens in the game.
But they alter it in a way that they crank it up.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It gives you exactly what you're expecting as a game player, but then it gives you something more so that you can't just go, oh, well, yeah, that's exactly how it happens in the game, and you knew it was going to happen. You know what's happening, but it goes to a different level. And that's just a very small example of how they approach that season and how I think this season's going to go as well.
Pepper it up. I think if you keep the spirit, then I think it's fine. Some people are asking for major changes. I'm seeing for the shows, like, don't do that thing that happens in the first. So it's like, well,
what though? This is how divisive this game is. It's hysterical, these comments. So yes, there's people that are like, I didn't like. First off, Last of Us Part 2, we talked about it in our episode. Very divisive. Very just line drawn down the middle.
Spoiler right now for this.
Yeah. Go back and listen to the episode. But in the way that people were like, meh, I don't like that. Now people are like, they're watching the trailer and they go, like, for example, there's a scene in this trailer where Joel is sitting down with a therapist and they seem like they're broaching the conversation where, what did you do previously? That's such a big deal.
A great idea for TV. Something you can do for TV, but you can do for video games.
Yes, correct. But people are going, well, if you're going to change the story that much, then why don't you just call it something different? It's not even The Last of Us at this point. So now you're going from people who hated the game, and to now you're getting a totally new audience that are like, well, if you're not going to adapt the game perfectly, then why the fuck are you even doing it? And it's just like, okay, game players, TV watchers, lock in. If you like this show, just fucking like it. Like, you don't have to listen to the blah, 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 blah on the side. Just enjoy it or don't, but there's always going to be people that complain for some reason about this franchise.
Yeah. You know what I've been thinking about lately? This has actually had nothing to do with The Last of Us. Just
talk.
In general,
say it. Yeah.
I don't think anybody likes the exact same thing. And the only thing that people actually like, that everybody in the world can agree on, is that air is good.
Yeah. Actually, what I was thinking was just like,
I think everyone can argue about everything. Love isn't real. I hate water. I don't like whatever. I don't like sweets. People can hate. It's incredible how divisive people can be on things. But the one thing I think people will not disagree on.
Well,
unless what do you think? Do you think people can disagree on that era?
I just think like why do trees give off so much oxygen? You know, like that's honestly it's a downfall of our society, and I just think that
I'd rather not breathe.
I hold my breath when I pass by a big tree. I go, not today. No,
but it's mostly the fact that like people will find a reason to hate something, pick on something, no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can't really please anybody. You just can't think of anybody. You know, even between us, it's like something where I thought Ed would love, and then he hates it, and it's just like I have to deal with that for 2 days and realize it's okay. We can still be friends, and then we move.
Ed and I had those conversations a lot over the years where I eventually at one point had to be like, I think it's okay that you like something and I don't. Like that doesn't mean that we are mad at each other or anything. It just means that you like this and I don't, or vice versa. Like I love Chili's and he wants to go to some, you know, fancy upscale restaurant, and that's okay. That doesn't mean we're bad people for either reason. It just means that we have different tastes.
Yeah.
But when you get on the internet, people are so passionate and they're so in the moment and so immediate reaction response. They feel like my voice is amplified and I'm right, especially when you tweet something and you get, I'm going to throw out a number, you get 100,000 likes on a tweet, then you immediately feel like, well, obviously I'm right because 100,000 likes came in.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's not necessarily the case. Just because you got 100,000 interactions, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that that's how the world sees it or how like general life goes.
Yeah.
So the internet has really like kind of like put blinders on you, you know, and it says, well, this is what's good and this is what's not. And it's like, that's not the case.
I think if you like the game, you're going to like the show, basically. And I feel like if you're iffy on the game, then you're going to be iffy on the show. I don't think they're going to make...
And same with even just if you just watched season 1 and you liked it or you didn't like it, you're going to continue to like or not like this season. Can we sorry, we went on this is the commentary, but can we talk about the trailer just real quick? Can we just say the actual product of the show itself? I just want to give the people what they want.
They're like fast forward 30 seconds.
Here we are and now. So first off, it does look like a really solid adaptation. We're getting some very like pulled straight from the game shots. But there is a lot of tense moments in this trailer, from dialogue to action itself. We talked about the therapist a second ago. She cranks the egg timer and says, you know, you should be brave and just tell me what it is you did. As I watched that trailer more and more, I was like, that's a really great. She was like, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, you can't overcome the thing you're afraid of or worried about unless you're brave enough to say what it is. And Joel is harboring this very big secret that in the game, he only tells Tommy, his brother, and he tells him at the very beginning, which is why people are like, is this where he tells that truth, or is he still, I think he's personally still going to have that moment with Tommy.
I do too.
Because Tommy also has a clear, motivation throughout part 2, and it's like that's central to that motivation. But I just really liked that how tense that dialogue felt, and I liked that Joel never answers that question throughout the whole trailer, but they show you visuals throughout to kind of tell you what he's thinking. But also some very real action moments as well. Sorry, if you want to talk about that, go ahead.
Sorry, just about that one moment when I see him react towards the therapist questioning him and he looks up, I'm like, damn, that is Joel. Like, he has captured.
Oh man, dude.
Joel.
And I was a little, I just feel like sometimes Pedro Pascal gets cast, you know, and he is like in this role. And it takes me a second. And I was a little, okay, I think it's a bold choice. He's very good right now. And it makes sense with HBO and everything. But like, Joel just has a very specific look and sound. But he nailed Joel in that first season. And even though it was a slightly different take, he still understood the essence of him. And you're so right. You see him in this trailer and you're like, that's my Joel, dude.
Exactly.
He's doing that shit. But not only are we getting these moments with like tense dialogue, we're also getting very tense action. And I think that's something they talked about from season 1 is that they're going to crank up not only the infected, but just like the action of it all, which is something that feels maybe like, oh, we have to do that, you know, for the we have to ramp up somehow, but at the same time, those fuckers are scary.
It ramps up in the game at the beginning. You know what I mean? And it plays that scene where they're running down the mountain. Yeah. And she's hiding behind the fence.
Yeah.
And there's that tense moment in the game too, where you see it play out and you remember that moment.
And when they pull these scenes from the game too, though, it's in the trailer, it's like boom, 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 and you can find like 5 things. So you're like, yeah, I know exactly where that is in the game.
The red light subway scene.
The subway scene. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple of scenes in the game that I'm like, are we actually going to get to this season? Are they going to because at the end of the trailer, you see so much of Ellie's storyline in the part 2, and you're like, okay, is that going to be the whole season, or is that just what they're showing us?
I think it's a little bit
of both, right?
I think they're only showing, look, they have a long way until it comes out, so they have to sparse all that info. Like, they're going to have another trailer, then they're going to have a second trailer, then they're going to have TV spots. Like, they can't reveal all of it at one go. And we got a taste of Abby in this one, but we didn't get a full reveal. And every time there was one shot of just her, and then another shot, and then the rest of the shots are just kind of her running around really quickly. Yep. So I think that whole aspect will unveil itself.
We'll probably get
she does
one
have
more,
a presence in that first portion.
Yeah.
So,
and I would say this, though, if you are interested in watching the show, I'd be very cautious about these trailers and TV spots that are going to come out eventually.
Yeah.
I get that they're promoting the show, but if you're already hooked on the show, just watch it when it comes out. This is a good trailer because it doesn't really give away too much, and it paints a picture that is nice. Mm-hmm. But I would definitely hold off moving forward.
Miguel, I have a dream.
Tell me.
We have our wonderful host Ed, and we have our wonderful guest Steven, always come in this pod.
Always.
I just wish one day that they could play The Last of Us. Maybe they'll play The Last of Us Part 2 before the show comes out, but it's a dream of mine.
It's you know what? I've dreamed that dream.
Yeah.
And I think I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
Let's one day, hopefully they'll be blessed with something like that. But listen, we don't need to talk about Last of Us Part 2 too much. This is it. I would say, just, I don't do this very often. Go back and listen to that Last of Us Part 2 episode if you played the game.
Do you remember what the number was? Episode number?
Oh shit, no, I'm sorry. And we'll link it down below.
You send me the link and I'll put it in the description for everybody.
Yeah, okay. Because I was just listening to it and I was there's a lot of really good commentary. Not to pat my own back, but I'm just like, I feel like you and I really played the game, we understood it, and we were both realizing things as we were talking. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a very fun conversation. Especially going back to it. And you guys listen, if you've been listening to the podcast long enough, you know that kind of late in the episode, Daddy's a little drunk. Okay. Like normally I'm not always like the most clear visionary of the podcast, but in that episode I locked the fuck in and I was like, no, we will talk about this game. So it's a fun conversation. But you know, we talked about Last of Us, which is something that you kind of came on board to, something very near and dear to my heart. I played this a lot. I had a good time. But listen, there's a new content out that I feel like is you, baby. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I can't believe it. This is my type of content. I'm that guy. You know.
Hey, I'm not. Hey, listen. If I'm that guy too, fucking lock me up and throw away the key, baby. All right. I'm in it.
We're gonna talk about the ballerina. Okay, this is the new John Wick. You know, what do they call it? A John Wick World Series
from
movie?
the
world.
What do they say? From the world of John Wick.
Yeah, from the world of John Wick, ballerina. And this is starring Ana de Armas.
Yes,
Ana de Armas.
Ooh, say it with, put the voice on. Put one of the voices on.
Ana de Armas.
Ooh.
Do you like that voice? I feel like every time I put that voice, that's the one you don't like.
I'm gonna be real. No, I didn't love it, but I liked the bass in your voice. That was good.
You know what? I'm gonna get rid of this. This guy's always around. Deleted. He's gone.
He's gone.
What about this one? This is a lower one, but maybe different.
Right, let's hear it.
Ana de Armas. Did you like that one? That one's a good one.
Do that one. Anytime you say her name, I want to hear that voice from that one. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and subtitle that one. Ana de Armas voice.
Okay. Well, she's in a. Okay, so basically, it's John Wick. You know, if you've seen John Wick, this is just John Wick again, except it's with Ana de. Oh, it's with Ana de Armas. Basically, basically, she's training to be as badass as Keanu Reeves is in John Wick. John Wick is part of this Russian like mob family, and they teach their fighters how to fight and dance because Russia's known for their ballerinas, and so I don't know, man. So this is the same family that trained John Wick, and so she comes up as well. We get to meet our old favorites. We see the late Lance Reddick in this trailer, which I was surprised to see. We also see what's his name. Oh, I love this guy. He's the head of the hotel.
Fucking from Deadwood.
Deadwood.
Yeah,
I love this. Ian McShane. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I was like,
Ian McShane shows up. He's amazing. And so look. You know what it is. If you want that kind of action, watch it. She reminded me a little bit of Scarlett Johansson.
She was Widow. For sure doing some Black Widow moves. She threw her legs up on a guy at one point, and I was like, he's fucked.
That swinging around action,
bro. Because I feel like, you know what I mean? You have to really, the choreography of her fights has to be believable because she's a much more petite person.
Yeah.
It's not John Wick, but you need to get that John Wick intensity. And I feel like the same thing with Black Widow. You know what I mean? Like you have to believably have this woman take down all these big dudes, you know what I mean, and not just with gunplay, you know what I mean. So the choreography I thought looked really good, very believable. We saw her previously. I think that what sold her on this role was her role in No Time to Die, right? The James Bond movie.
Yeah.
And it was like she was very action packed in that movie, and it was like, oh, she can really do this. And
she was a lot more cheerful in that one. In this one, she's a lot more serious in this.
Yeah, and more so as the trailer goes on. She has a really good shot at the end of the trailer where she shows up at the hotel again, and she's got a little bit of blood on her face. But the look in her eyes was like she's a little more hardened by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
There's a couple of shots I want to talk about before we move on.
Oh, okay.
So obviously they're like John Wick universe, and Keanu Reeves shows up as John Wick. I'm gonna spoil John Wick. Was it 4? What's the movie that just came out? If you're not caught up on the John Wick movies, shut up, don't listen. John Wick died in that movie, right?
Yes, I don't think he died, but yeah.
So let me ask you this: is this pre or post that?
This is pre that.
It's pre that. Okay.
It has to be because Lance Reddick is still, not only did he pass away unfortunately in life, but he also passed away in John Wick 4.
That's right. I forgot about this. So this is pre. Okay. So we can establish that pre. Okay. It's pre. But there are some shots in this trailer that I was like, is Keanu Reeves in this? Because he just like, she's like, she turns and she talks to him and he's like, he's there.
Yeah.
And he's having dialogue where his mouth kind of moves. And I'm like, are you actually in this scene talking to her right now?
Oh, like they shot separately.
Or are you crafting this trailer to make it seem like that? Like, do you remember that Star Wars trailer where I think it's Last Jedi, where Rey is like, I need someone to show me my way in this thing. And she looks up and it's Kylo Ren, and he puts his hand out. But that's not actually how that scene goes. But they color graded it and everything, so it looks like that's what's happening. And that's what it feels like in this trailer as well. Like, I'm like, I don't really think John Wick is...
I think he's there. I think
he's there in some of them, but there was one egregious one that I was like, I don't think you're there at all, dude.
There's that line in the trailer where it's like, how do I become like you? And he's like, you already have. You know what I mean? He does that like little... I need more guns. He kind of does that John Wick stutter. You know what would be cool is if this happened right before or like in the third act or maybe at the end or I don't know what at some point. Excommunicado.
Yeah.
John Wick gets excommunicado, so everybody has to hunt down John Wick.
And she's then one of them.
She has to make the decision. Do I hunt down John Wick? It'll probably be at the end or be like an end credit scene. Or something like that. I don't think it'll be the main story because she's got to have her own story. And then it's going to be like...
You know who kind of did that well for a bit was, and I can't believe I'm saying this, was Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
They did that whole thing where all of a sudden movies were happening within a time frame that you were like, yo, you were doing this at the same time? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean you like Fast and Furious 3 happens? And then it's supposed to cut to like Fast 7. And in between that time, all the shit has happened between Fast 2 and Fast 3. And you're like, wait, whoa. What's the timeline here?
Yesterday was crazy, man. We had to go infiltrate into the Russian government. Now we're like doing something else.
You're like, wait, what? The Rock just showed up. What do you mean? No, so I feel you though. I kind of like that idea. Same with Jason Bourne. They did that a lot in those movies where they play with the timeline, but you're getting these full-fledged stories. I mean, this is a separate conversation, but I think the first 3 Jason Bourne movies are damn near perfect.
They're really good. Yeah.
And the fact that they juggle all those things and still nail that landing, that's really good. Yeah. I mean, Ballerina, I'm looking forward to it more so now. Hey, what's her name?
Oh, shit. Her name?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Who are you talking about?
The lead actress in the Ballerina.
Oh, you mean
Ana de Armas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Watch out for Ballerina comes out soon.
Yeah.
Shit, my Coke. Okay, and then I have one more trailer that I wanted to talk about here. It's called Better Man. And you might be saying, what the hell is that? And Better Man is a trailer. Shit, I lost my tab. It's a biopic. It's a biopic about Robbie Williams, the British pop singer.
Oh, hang on one second.
Yeah. Are you looking it up?
No, I'm sending a text. No, you want to talk about Better Man, the Robbie.
Okay.
No, let me bring the whole podcast to a pause so I can text someone. Yeah, okay. I'll let you explain what this movie is, and then I have thoughts. So go ahead.
Oh, do you know what this movie is, though? Have you heard the internet talking about it already?
I watched the trailer today. I didn't realize that's what this was.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah, it's a trailer. It's basically, we had that movie Piece by Piece, which is a Lego biopic of Pharrell Williams. And so we're doing another funky way of doing a biopic where Robbie Williams isn't played by a human, but is portrayed as a chimpanzee, performed using motion capture. So everybody else is human, but he specifically is a chimpanzee.
It's a monkey.
Yeah, and he's like, I was an animal back then. And then he's like a chimpanzee, doing stuff. Yeah. And then it ends with him in like a big concert singing like a chimpanzee. What you had thoughts?
I have thoughts, dude. Okay, first off, I barely know who Robbie Williams is, number one, okay? And the only reason I know who this is a little behind the scenes, a little of our lives, okay? Uh-huh. I know who Robbie Williams is because the night that I proposed to my wife, I put together a playlist of music, and I had this whole thing planned out where the first half of the playlist was just like dinner, we're eating dinner music. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then it slowly transitions to like these like love songs. And the 3 songs leading up to me proposing to her, the third song was a Robbie Williams song.
Oh, wow. What song was it?
Oh, now that you asked that, I don't actually know. Yeah. But I remember I was very nervous. Yeah. But I never do this, but I like crafted this playlist and like I listened to all the lyrics and everything so that I could like purposefully lead it up to the moment. So that's basically the only reason I know about Robbie Williams. And so if you watch this trailer, he starts the conversation. First off, it's a biopic of Robbie Williams. And so you think, oh yeah, of course I know how this goes. And he starts the trailer by going, I'm one of the most famous pop stars of all time or in the world or whatever. Most people were like, I have no idea who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he does this batshit crazy thing of, I'm going to be this CGI ape.
Yeah.
And I was here for it. Every time I was watching this whole trailer and I was like, no, this is not your standard biopic, right? Yeah. Where they do the beats and they wrap it up at the end and the guy gets the Oscar. It's like, no, this is like pushing the boundaries of what that means. I am fucking here for it. Okay. The entire time I was like, are they going to explain why he's a monkey?
No,
and it's like,
it doesn't, how it is.
It does not matter. He's a monkey.
It's just, that's how he wants to be portrayed as a character. It's like, I guess that makes sense.
I saw a picture of the monkey and him side by side in real life. And they gave like, he's got this little like smirk, this like lip curl smirk that he does. They gave the monkey that smirk. And I was like, I mean, of course they would, but it's just like, oh, I see it, dude. Like, I don't really understand how whoever convinced him or he woke up and decided to do this, but I love that they committed wholeheartedly to this bit.
I think we're entering into this like, you know, we're trying to do something original now that we're seeing all this like repetitive nostalgia stuff where we're going into that like 80s, 90s like period where we're just throwing crazy shit at the wall. There's another biopic that's happening. It's an animated Phil Collins biopic is in the works that will take place in the world of Grand Theft Auto, and Phil Collins will voice himself. Like,
sign me the fuck up, okay? Because all of those words, you caught my attention, okay?
We're having movies like Trap, where this is different, but Juror Number 2, the film follows a juror in a high-profile murder trial who realizes he actually committed the murder in theaters November 1st. You know,
I cannot believe we didn't actually talk about that. But yes, go ahead.
It's just like these like kind of, I don't know, quirky little movies where it's like, ooh, you think it's this? It's not. It's something else.
It's
you know, we're gonna add a little pepper into this. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it, but
he's a monkey.
I didn't see Junior Juror 2.
I did. Okay, so first off, this is something we've heard about recently. It's Clint Eastwood's probably last movie. He's like 93 years old. Okay, he's the director of the film.
This is the movie where he was like walking out of a theater and he was like,
yeah, he's old. Yeah. And not that there's any shame in that. He is old. Okay? And it's kind of wild that he's making a movie. This is a premise that's been on the internet for a couple months now. They were like, Clint Eastwood's making this movie where the juror realizes he's the murderer. And it was one of those things where I was like, oh shit, like that doesn't make any sense at all. How could you ever get that far into the process and discover? But I watched the trailer, dude.
It worked?
It fucking works, dude. And it is reminiscent of a time too. It is very like kind of like 90s, 2000s courtroom drama thriller.
Yeah.
And the trailer is honestly, I saw a tweet that was like, give this trailer like the trailer award. Like it is it's a really good trailer. Like,
okay, I haven't seen it. I guess I'll watch it. Sure.
I say that only to tell you, like, you should watch this trailer. It's really good. It builds perfectly. There's just enough dialogue between him and other characters and then the side characters' perspectives that you're like, oh, now I understand what's happening, because it's like him, it's the person that's accused of the murder, it's the defense lawyer, it's the prosecutor lawyer. So it's like you get these perspectives of,
oh, interesting.
Like obviously it's a courtroom drama and we're gonna have all of that, but it's like there's a line where the defense lawyer is like, did you even think to ask or question, is there another person? You know?
Yeah.
Could someone else have done this, or did you only go after my client? And it's like, oh man, and and I thought this was pretty good.
So we set up a trap, you know what I mean?
I know, dude. That's the vibe lately. Is we're setting traps, man. No, it was surprisingly good. I'm not giving it justice. I would just say go watch this trailer and come back and you'll
what I have to ask is, does this trailer have a sound cue of a ticking clock as things happen?
That's like, very specific. I don't. I would say no, not that. It's not that clear cut like that. I see what you're saying, but there is a rhythm to it. Okay,
like snapping back as he realizes.
Yes. And there is a moment where in the black, a character says, a voiceover goes, "So what are you telling me?" And then he goes something like, "I think I might have done it." Juror number 2. You know what I mean? So but it is very well done. And I thought more surprisingly, just because I had such low expectations for it. It feels like a John Grisham novel in a movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it felt very reminiscent of that vibe. So fucking watch me find out John Grisham fucking wrote this or something. You know what I mean? It's a good vibe. I would definitely tell you to watch the trailer and you can decide for yourself.
That was trailer talk, a hefty meal of trailer talk.
Wow, we talked a lot about trailers.
We really did. Did you want to talk about, I didn't see this feature discussion conversation, but what's your streaming network gripe?
Oh, I mean, if you want to talk, okay. Hey guys, welcome to the feature discussion where we don't have anything to talk about this week. So Miguel put together a thing. No, we were texting about something the other day and you were like, I sent a tweet that was something about I hate that streaming services don't let me sit with the movie. The vibe was like I have never wanted to I've never finished a movie and thought what am I going to watch next? And streaming services really shove that. So if you know the picture immediately, the credits start to roll. They go to the small box and they go, "Do you want to watch Grey's Anatomy?" And you're like,
yeah.
"No, I don't." You know. And I texted that to you guys, and you were like, "Ugh, don't get me started on HBO."
Yeah.
And so that's really what started with the idea was.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, okay,
what is your streaming service gripe? And you seem to have one right out the way. So I thought, go ahead.
Let's talk about Max. I have a, let me do that one because that's the most obvious one. Well, first off, for Netflix, yes, they make you like play next, but I turn that feature off. So,
that's good.
So will that ruin my binge like ease? Yes. But for the most part, it won't force me into the next episode immediately. So I get to sit with the credits.
Yes.
I get to sit with that moment, and it's not pushy. I don't want a pushy streaming service. No. So I did that. But you have to enable it on your browser. You can't do it through the app. You know what I mean? They're like, you got to work for it. If you want to turn this off, you got to go online.
I hate that.
I know. No, for Max. So I'm, every Sunday when you're watching House of the Dragon, or right now I'm watching The Penguin, and all these Sunday shows. Soon we'll see The White Lotus. What's happening right now is ever since it switched from HBO Max to Max, is that right when the credits roll, it immediately makes the box super tiny, gives you all this other info, and I'm like, dude, there are 7 minutes left. There's still like, and when they do next, and there's like still like behind the scenes.
Oh my God. Okay. 2 very important things real quick. First off, I didn't even think about this when you said it earlier. The upcoming episode, I almost never see that preview on HBO Max anymore. And if you think about Game of Thrones, that was a feature of the episode. Not only am I shook from this episode that I just watched, they're going to go, and hey, here's next week on Game of Thrones. Yeah. Which is of a time, sure, but still, I want to know where you're going. Bro, have you tried to watch the upcoming on whatever show on HBO Max, whatever it is, Penguin, Game of Thrones, whatever you're watching? You have to go down into like the extras feature folder of the episode and scroll over through the podcast. And then they're like, here's the recap of the last week's episode. I've just finished this one. And then there's the next one that's like, and here's the episode coming up. That shit should just be right there playing automatically.
Yes. Wait, I didn't know you have to hunt it down like that.
Bro, I can't remember what show we were just watching, but we just watched something a month or 2 ago where I could not believe that I had to look so hard to find what was coming up.
Yeah.
I should not have to work that hard. You want me to watch this show, right?
You have all this extra, literally there's 7 minutes left of content left. Like, how are you just forcing me out of this already?
But then the second part, the behind the scenes features is some of the best part of that, end credits of the episode. You wouldn't get that meme for Game of Thrones where he's like, and Danny kind of forgot about the whatever, that was from a behind the scenes thing that we got to see. Game of Thrones made that popular for HBO Max.
Oh, yeah.
Why wouldn't you keep doing that, David Zaslav? But I don't know. I didn't realize that you were going to trigger me on that. I had a whole separate conversation to have, but yeah, that is very frustrating that you're almost stealing content from me.
Yeah, that's the biggest gripe that I have right now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I feel like, I can't remember what streaming service it is, but there are times like, say I want to go to a show.
Oh, I want
to select an episode.
I
click it, and then it fucking starts. And I'm like, no, I think it's Max too. I think Max is one of them. I don't know if it's Peacock as well, but somebody else does it. But it's like, no, I just want to see the episodes. I don't want to just start it immediately because maybe I rewatched it. Maybe I went backwards. Maybe I went forward. Give me the agency to pick the episode I want to watch.
Disney does it, first off, for sure.
Okay, then it's Disney.
Is it Disney? No,
someone does it.
There is someone where it's like, I'm the kind of guy that's like, if I walk away a day later, I'm coming back to the show I'm watching or movie or whatever. I want to click into it. I want to click into the product.
Yeah.
And there are streaming. This is my gripe. there are streaming apps that as soon as you click on the thumbnail, it plays the episode automatically.
Yeah, it's like, I want to have perspective. Where are we in the season?
Can you let me breathe? You know, like I'm not trying to watch immediately from right here.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe it's something like that. The reason why I think it's Disney, because I feel like there's episodes of Bluey, right? Where it's like, and also, okay, first off, if you were gonna take away that option of letting me click into the episode and I click on the thing and it automatically plays, you should have a whole separate thing of continue watching or whatever it is where I can click on the actual show. Because sometimes I have to click on the episode, it plays automatically, I hate it, I back out, and then I have to search Bluey in the top, and then I have to find the show and click on it again and then pick the season I want to see and then go to the episode and read the description. And it's just like, I don't understand. I thought we fixed this. I thought we figured this out already.
It feels like every streaming service is like, we have to do this different. You know, it's like, listen.
And you don't.
You know, Android and iPhone, when we send a text message, our message is always on the right. Don't go out and change it. You know what I mean? Like, just do what everybody wants you to do with these streaming services. You know, and also Max is really frustrating too, because I was looking for like a specific, what was I looking for? I was looking for the Food Network, actually. I was looking for the Food Network because I've been trying to like, all these like food shows are back. I want to watch it. And there's no like icon or panel or like thing where I can like jump into that world. It's like, I want to watch HBO stuff. I want to watch Cartoon Network stuff. I want to watch cooking show stuff. I want to watch whatever, like DC stuff. Like all of that is gone and stripped. It used to be like a tile that you could click on.
Yes.
So I hate that they took that away as well.
Yes.
One thing I do like, and this is very small and random.
Oh, okay.
I like the grain that Hulu has on their user interface. Now I got an OLED. I got a 77-inch OLED. So when I open up that Hulu screen, I can see that little grain. It looks very detailed. I like it. It's not like just a fucking slap flat grain. Anyway, I also like the Hulu's intro.
I'm so glad I can now watch Hulu shows. It is a little weird that I watch Hulu shows on Disney because it's like I'm clicking.
I haven't done that
Disney.
yet. I haven't made that skip.
It's just a one-stop shop for us, and we happen to like Hulu content, and it's already featured on Disney, so it's like, okay, I'll click on it. But yes, baby, when they're like, whoosh, and it's like the quick little shot of Hulu, whatever the show is. We're watching a lot of Grey's Anatomy right now, so it's like, ooh, here's Meredith Grey doing this.
Oh, yes.
And then boom, the episode starts. No, I agree. I agree with that.
You know, I haven't done Hulu on Disney Plus because I have to use Hulu separately because we use it for TV, like an actual broadcast.
The live TV.
The live
TV.
Yeah. Disney Plus doesn't have that, and so we have live TV with Hulu. So we've separated the family. We've separated the church and state, you know, from.
I don't have a problem with that. We don't personally subscribe to, because there's something about paying $70 a month for a live service that I just can't get on board with.
I get it. I understand 1000%, but
I want it, but I don't that bad, you know?
No, I get it. Yeah. We do it because it's like an easy option. It's like, just throw something on the TV. It is very, I don't know. But I feel it's a very privileged thing to want to be like, just throw something on the TV where I don't have to decide, you know?
I hear you, because even the precious minutes it takes to like find a show or whatever, but we just have like our pocket of shows, you know, ready to go. And so we just like live has never really come up as something that we super need in our house.
And there are a few moments, like sometimes I'll watch sports, you know, like it's football season. The Cowboys are playing, so like I'll do that, or you know, when the FIFA was playing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So there are moments when it is like nice to have it, but that's why I still have the Hulu. And you know what? I like the Hulu interface a little bit more than the Disney Plus interface.
Okay, so let's take a half step back for a second. We were talking about gripes. I wanted to kind of segue into this earlier. Let's talk about things we do like, okay? I do think there are some interfaces out there that are better than others, but I also think we should talk in general, what are the streaming grapes. Okay, I don't know. I said gripes earlier. I was trying to find like a positive.
Okay.
And for some reason,
grapes, they're like the fruit. Like a positive.
That's a sweet morsel of tasty goodness. But yeah, so you think Hulu's interface is pretty good?
I like it. It doesn't all look the same. Sometimes it bundles itself to like, okay, this is a poster look, and these are more like smaller horizontal tiles, and so it kind of helps break things up in your mind a little bit.
Yep.
And it has enough different content where I can like, hey, you kind of like this content and you kind of like this content, but hey, continue watching. And it sometimes keeps that close up enough where I can just jump in. Sometimes
continue watching. First off, should be two things. Continue watching, I click on it, I go to the show, or I continue watching and start playing. But continue watching should be at the fucking top.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do a gripe. I didn't mean to do a gripe.
That used to be the good times. They don't put it at the top anymore because they want you scrolling.
And then I have to scroll eight fields down.
Sometimes
and then
that's egregious. I do have to go, and sometimes it's not even. And sometimes it's not even there. I'm like, am I being gaslit right now? I swear to God, there was no
I was watching this. Like, the fuck? Where is it?
I have to
and then you search it. You search the thing, and then it's like, oh, did you want to keep watching this from this point?
Do you
I was
want to?
Motherfucker, yes, that's exactly where I want to watch this from.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. No, we're talking grapes,
good
not
algorithm
gripes.
stuff. We went back down to the gripes again. Let's talk about the grapes. That was my bad.
I agree. There are some for Disney's, the things that I don't like about Disney, I do like the hubs at the top.
I love that yes.
And
I love the tiles.
HBO was doing that for a while, where they were like Hub City up top or whatever, or even a couple down, but here's the hubs.
Still.
It's like if you're gonna be a conglomerate with all these things, like give me the fucking entrees. You know, like
you got that and this and that.
And that. Let me jump in. And so far, I love that Disney's, and they add to it but rarely also. It was like Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and then they added Nat Geo, and then they added Hulu.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love
it's clean.
Because it's like, it's like Fortnite also. Yeah. You hop on Fortnite now, and it's the same way. It's like you go down one level, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck is all this shit? You know?
Yeah.
Let me see the main 5, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But no, there are definitely some streaming apps that are so much easier to maneuver than others. I do think Netflix, for all of its gripes, I do think Netflix has a pretty easy user interface.
I think so too.
I mean, it's the original, basically.
It is,
you know, so naturally they're like, we know what we're doing, and they promote all their things, and we can have a whole Netflix conversation. You know,
I have something to say already about a good thing about Netflix.
Let me hear it.
Okay, so on the iPad for Netflix, this is the only one that has this feature. Sometimes you're watching a movie and things get a little bright, or maybe someone turns off the light and the screen's a little bright.
Okay.
On Netflix, on the left side, you can use your finger to fix the brightness of your screen immediately. You don't have to go anywhere else.
And the moment you tap the screen, it's one of the 3 options. Like you get this corner,
on the far left side.
Yeah.
And you select it and you can bring down the brightness. It's that type of stuff where, okay, so this is a good question. When you want to turn the captions on or off or on or whatever, or just have some agency in that, do you prefer for the episode to pause for you to make the selection? Or do you want the episode to continue and then you can make the selection?
I would say this, just knee-jerk reaction, and not even actually thinking of how I do it on any app. If I'm going, I can't hear, I need to understand, okay? I need to see the captions. Then I want the content to pause, because that's the whole reason that I'm turning this on to begin with. I'm missing things.
Right.
If I'm turning it on mid-episode, mid-movie or whatever, you know what I mean? Then you should quick little bop, bop, boop, boop.
Okay, so I'm going to retort this a little bit, because
I'm okay, because I want to hear it. Let's go.
So that's to say, you're involved in this content. You're like, I need to know every single word. I'm invested. Okay. I have my phone down and I'm watching this TV. You know.
Okay.
There are moments when you're not invested, and you're like, oh, I didn't really understand what they're saying, but I kind of want to know what they're saying now.
Yeah.
You want the captions turned. You want things to keep rolling. You know what I mean? If I want to pause it, I'll pause it. You know, I will pause it, and then I will take
Best of both worlds. It's not a 3, 4, 5 button click, right? It's like a zoom up, a transparent menu.
Yes.
The movie's still playing.
Yeah.
I select subtitle, and hey, listen, if you know my region because I'm connected to the internet already. If I'm just naturally, and I don't want to sound whatever, an English speaking, just go ahead and select the English subtitle for me in a boop, done. Okay. Now, sure, I want that diversity of captions, Well,
you could choose it as your primary preference, or if you wanted to divert from that, have it automatically go to your English. But if you want to go to different ones, then you select it to a sub menu of options, just like how it is now. How it is now. So instead of me going to that sub menu, make it automatically the preferred language. And
I totally see what you're saying. There are definitely moments where I'm not as invested, but I do want the captions on, and I don't want to click. I hate clicking to 3, 4, 5 different things.
Yeah.
Because now my attention is here, and why am I doing this? But if it could just, if it could just be like a very fluid, like, then be done with it,
Damn.
What's your hey, real quick, just off the top of your head, and I'm not talking about content. I'm talking about like accessibility. Okay. What's your favorite streaming service?
Honestly, I'll probably mess with Hulu a lot. Like,
what was the one that you were like, oh my God, I cannot watch a show on this?
Oh yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's either going to be Peacock or Max. One of those sometimes.
First off, fuck that HBO has fallen as far as they have. Okay.
Yeah, like I watch it because the content is that good, but I'm working. You know what I mean? I'm putting in the work.
See, content-wise, like we have been an HBO family for years, but we have fallen off because of the direction it's gone. Yeah. But also, the user interface. But I would say I think the worst is, no offense, it's Peacock. You know, Peacock is pretty awful.
I didn't watch the Olympics this year, but apparently the Peacock's Olympic coverage was like incredible. Like they had all these options and availability. They even utilized like some sort of AI voice commentary thing, or I don't know. But
we haven't even talked about it. You know who else is not very good?
Who?
Prime.
Oh, Prime. Ed's favorite. Ed loves Prime. Remember,
Ed loves Prime. That's so true. And I think if people know the interface and they know how to work it and they love it, I'm not dogging on them. I just when I hop on Prime, I'm not having a good time.
I'm not having a good. And you know what? They've been a little bit like skeezy lately, where they're like, "Want to watch this movie? Just kidding. Costs money." And now I have to toggle off the Prime only option or whatever. I have to like, it's like a special section. And it's like, before I didn't have to do this, but then you got greedy, and now you just want me to go off instinct and pick a movie. And then I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. $4.99 for the movie. Yeah. It's like, no, I want the Prime movies. I don't want all this extra shit that I have to filter through. Again, doesn't Prime just have like the single tiles? Like, I don't know. I don't know
yes. It's not like a hub or anything.
It just becomes white noise to me after a while. When you don't break it up. Yeah.
You're overwhelming me with all these options. So now I'm just going to click off to another app and be more in my comfort zone where I can just watch something I'm already going to watch,
Yeah. Ed, come back to the podcast. Talk about why you love Prime so much. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he does. He also does so many like spin-off subscriptions through Prime. Like he'll be like Prime with Showtime, Prime with Paramount, Prime with whatever. And I have separate apps for the things that I need. And I could kind of see his argument being like, well, it's all in one place.
Yeah. I get it. I think it's just a personality thing. I like having the content it's in each app. Just because I like the way that algorithm throws it at me. Like, there's already so much content in one streaming service that they have to like choose carefully on what they want to throw at me. So if you put all that together in a Prime, maybe I'm missing out stuff. I don't know. It is very much dealer's choice. I went to a party and I offended people with my folders on my phone. They were like, I can't believe you have so many folders on your phone. And it just blew my mind that it blew their mind. And it was like, wow, people do really think differently. So that was just crazy. Let us know down in the comments below what your favorite streaming service is. What's your what streaming service is your favorite?
What's your gripe or what's your grape?
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, I like that. What's your gripe? What's your grape?
I don't know. I'm workshopping something. Yeah. All right.
Hey. what we're into.
Get into it.
We got a couple things. I threw some things in there. Did you see Penguin 2? I mean, the second episode of Penguin?
I've started it. I haven't finished it yet because I
Okay.
was like, well, we're not going to talk Penguin all season long.
Well, yeah, I didn't know if this is going to be another like House of the
Game of
Dragon
Thrones,
situation.
right? Like we're locked
Like,
in.
oh, let's just touch on. I'll just say this.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, it's good. Just keep watching. You know, it's like
I am surprised at how good the show is. And I saw something. Here's the thing that's selling me on the show. Okay. And if you want to talk about the episode, you're more than welcome to.
Mhm.
But Colin Farrell was like, I read the first episode and he was so likable.
Oh, right.
And I read episode 2, 3, 4, all the way to 8. And by the end of it, I was like, he was saying, I was like, this is paraphrasing here, but he was like, this is a bad guy.
A despicable person. Yeah.
Yes. And it's like, I love that because that was one of my kind of like at the beginning of the show, the first episode, I was like, oh no, don't make me like him. Like, I don't want to like him. He's a bad guy for a reason. Batman comes in and goes, Penguin's bad, and I need to be on Batman's side. Yeah. I don't want Batman to come in and be like, Penguin, we need to work together. You know, you know what I'm saying? And so the idea that he was like, oh yeah, he gets really bad, and you can see the manipulation happening throughout. I just started the second episode. I'm only like 10, 20 minutes in. It's like, oh, okay. Like if that truly is the direction, I'm going to be way more on board for this show. I want bad guys to be bad guys.
Yeah,
you know?
I do too. Yeah, Penguin 2. They were saying it was. They had one line. I don't know if you got to it. Maybe they got to the beginning, but they were like, crime has gone up ever since the what's it called?
Falcone.
The when all the water dispersed through the city, and it was the whole.
Yeah, the Riddler thing.
Yeah, so Batman has a lot more work to do on that one. Penguin 2 is good. Yeah, Penguin episode 2 is good. Keep watching it.
I'll say this. I asked Eric, you know, he was on the episode last week. He worked on the show, and I don't know if he wants me to say this, but we were at a bar and I asked him very forwardly. I was like, hey, real quick, I won't say if you don't want me to. Is Batman in the show?
Oh.
And he looked at me dead in my eyes and he goes, hey man, like for real, Batman, I worked on that whole show. He's not in the show unless they did a whole separate like second unit type vibe.
They do that.
Where they filmed something. He was like, I was not a part of that and Batman's not on the show. Colin Farrell was like, Batman's not on the show. So I love that because I feel like a sense of, I'm going to go ahead and just assume he's not in the show and be okay with it. But if he shows up, I'll be like, the fuck, here we go. But here's why. I think I said this last week. Batman's not going to show up in a show because that's the deal with DC or Warner Brothers or whatever. Like Batman is not allowed to be on TV. He can only be in movies.
Yeah, they're very particular about where he shows up, even though he's showing up everywhere now.
Exactly.
You brought up Fall Guy here. You wanted to talk to Ed about this?
I really wanted Ed to be. I texted him too. He didn't text me. He's probably asleep. I really wanted Ed here. I'm just going to go ahead. Listen,
do you want to wait on this till Ed comes back?
I don't because I've been cooking with this bit, so I'm just going to do the bit now.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me give the audience a little bit of background. Okay. Luis, man, I hope you lock in with me on this, okay?
Okay.
I told Kristen this earlier, and she was like, I mean, I guess if you want to do that. Okay, hey, listen, I was talking to you guys earlier. I mentioned what I've been into. I mentioned Fall Guy. So the audience, if you don't know, we have a document where we put our notes so that we know what we're talking about before we start recording. And I put Fall Guy here, and you guys were like, why are you talking about the movie Fall Guy? I'm going to be real honest. I didn't actually watch the movie Fall Guy. Okay.
You watched the TV show Fall Guy.
But I wanted to say, and listen, Luis, your natural vibe is you're going to want to talk right now, but just give me a minute. Let me get through my bit. Okay. I've been really working on this. Okay. I'm cooking right now. Okay. Listen, I didn't watch the movie Fall Guy, but I am a Fall Guy. Okay. And you're like, what does that mean? Okay. I am a Fall Guy, and that's a phrase that I think we should call people who have watched for the first time and also loved the movie Anatomy of a Fall. Okay.
Okay.
I was really wanting Ed on this episode because I feel like he liked this movie a lot,
Yes,
and I
he did,
thought
yeah.
he would want to talk about it with us because y'all talked about it already, but then I actually watched it this week.
Yes,
and I was really good. I almost texted you guys about 100 times that I was watching this. But then at one point it clicked with me, like, let me just not say anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm almost done with the movie and we're about to record. I just finished it today that we were recording. So can I share my thoughts about this movie real quick?
Yes, share.
So Anatomy of a Fall, not Fall Guy. Oh, I have a picture, by the way. Sandra Hüller, is that who?
Yeah, Sandra Hüller. Yeah.
She is in a movie with Ryan Gosling right now. They're filming a movie and there's a screenshot of them on the scene together. And I'm going to text it immediately. Right down below, you can see the picture because I was talking about Fall Guy. Boom. Here we go. Luis.
Yeah.
I loved this movie.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
What a fucking great movie. This was something that I had been wanting to watch. I have an opportunity at my work where sometimes we're doing very just like tedious, quiet things at a desk. And sometimes in those moments, I'll be able to put a phone on in the background and watch a movie. I had really held off on this doing that because I was like, well, it's a French movie. It's going to be a lot of French dialogue, a lot of like, I need to focus on the captions. I'm not going to have time to do my actual job. So I really put this movie off. And I had a kind of slow day the other day, so I put it on. And my number one comment about this movie is I cannot believe how much fucking English is spoken in this movie.
Yeah.
That shit blew my mind. That I understood so much of the dialogue. I mean, 75% of this movie is like in English.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. They're like, hey, it's just easier if we do it in English, right? You're German, we're French. That's the one language we can understand.
Oh, man.
They're like,
there was so much dialogue about that as well.
Yeah.
And there was one point when they were like, she's going to... So Anatomy of a Fall, you guys have listened to the podcast before. If you haven't, the movie is a man and a woman and their son, right? They live in a house. The son goes out on a walk. And when he comes back, his father is dead on the ground outside on the snow. Did he fall from the highest height of their house or was he pushed? And that's really the very bare bones breakdown of the movie. But there's this courtroom drama. And then at one point when she goes to court, the judge says, you have to speak in French.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, they're going to lock in. It's going to be French the rest of the movie. It's a French movie. But even still, after that, so much English happened.
She couldn't express herself in French. She's like, I have to speak.
She would even interrupt and be like, let me just go ahead and the way... Okay, let me just take a step back. I have so many thoughts about this movie. I loved the execution of every single bit of this film. I loved that French because she's not a native French speaker. I loved that French was used against her, you know, and how she had to kind of fight back against that. Just in general, what a solid courtroom drama. Did she do it? Did she not do it? I felt the entire time she did it. She didn't do it. She did it. She didn't do it.
Yeah,
you know, I was every 2 or 3 scenes, I was like, well, obviously she did it or obviously she didn't. Such a great film. The way that very early on, there's dialogue about how she's a writer, right? And the way she writes is she blends reality and fiction, and they ran with that theme the entire movie. Not only in the dialogue, not only in the scenes, but even like the sound editing or whatever that's called, the mixing of the sound.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there were levels to the way they were telling that story, where you would see the big scene. I think that everyone talks about is the courtroom scene where he recorded an argument and they'd been talking about that. And so you see that recorded argument where it's like maybe 5-10 minutes of them in the scene having that conversation. And then right before it pops off, they switch back to the courthouse where they're playing the audio of that scene. And you as the audience are in the same shoes as the jurors, as the people listening. And of everyone in that room, the only one in that room that knows truly what happened is Sandra Hulu's character, whose name I'm blanking on, the wife.
Yeah.
And so then as an audience, you're pulled back even more. And that's really what they do so great in this movie, is they show you exactly what they want to show you until they don't.
Yeah.
And same with sound. They do a couple of scenes where this is something that really clicked with me later in the film. But they do a scene where the son is talking about, I remember this conversation I had with my dad. And then they cut to that conversation, and the conversation is them in a car, but it's the dialogue from the court.
Yeah.
So he's talking in court, but the dialogue in the scene is mouthed, is like lip synced. And I realized in that moment, because there's a really specific moment where he is like, my dad said this, my dad said that, my dad said this, my dad said that. And the kid in the courthouse has like a stutter or something where he goes, and in the scene, in the visuals that they're showing, the dad goes, And it's like, if this was a true representation of the dialogue that was happening in that scene, we probably wouldn't have seen the he would have just been talking. And it's like the blending of reality and what's perceived is so well done in this movie that every time it happened, I was just like, this is so good. I am just drawn in. It's a long movie. It's like a 2.5 hour long movie. So I watched it over chunks. But every time I finally sat down and was like, let me watch some more of this, I was like, let's go. Let me see what's happening.
It's the perfect example of like giving pieces of information just enough to get your attention and then to sway you. And then, okay, now that you're there, we're going to sway you on this direction. They're very good at orchestrating audiences' expectations. And then to a point where no one like can agree on whether she did it or not. And
I don't want to give away the ending, but the way that, the question is, did she do it or did she not do it? And then the way you have to really sit with that at the end is just so good. Can I listen? This is my I'll wrap it up with this thought. This is my big prediction. Okay. I'm willing to put money on this. Okay. This movie will be remade for a U.S. audience, listen, this is not something I want, okay? But this is going to be remade either in a movie or television show. It was so good. It's such a great courtroom drama. And every time I was just like, there is nothing in this movie that is so specifically for this movie, yes, but there's nothing in the story that is so specifically French or German or European in general that cannot be translated into a U.S. audience.
I mean, the thing is, what makes it really hard is like it was so bespoke and well crafted, and like it's not just the story; it's the way it was shot. And like you said, the sounds of it all, like it all comes together. Like, sure, we can do it in Denver. Or we can put it in whatever, like I
don't love that you said
Michigan
because I live here. But yeah.
Denton, how about that? Another D.
Yeah, that's fine.
It could be in Denton, Texas. It's like, let's change the location, whatever. She's not a teacher; she's like a librarian or something. Yeah.
And then the court, the U.S. justice system will be a conversation topic. I don't want that. No. Okay,
they did it masterfully together, collaboratively. It's not just you can't just rip it out and put it somewhere else.
But think about the things that were. What was that movie that Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston was in? The
Unbreakables?
Breakables? No. You know what I'm talking about? Where Bryan Cranston was the paraplegic and Kevin Hart was the whatever. That was a French movie that they adapted.
The Speak No Evil. That was a movie that just got remade. It was done like a couple years ago, and then they did it this year.
One of the best movies I've ever seen was the UK version, the original version of Death at a Funeral. It is one of the funniest movies ever. They redid that movie in a US audience, and what they basically did was they ripped that entire script and just did it with new actors. One of the TV shows that I loved was a UK TV show called Broadchurch. They ripped that show and they did it as a US version, and they called it something else, but it was essentially Broadchurch.
Broad City? I'm kidding.
Nah, could you imagine?
No.
But there was just something about this vibe that I was like, get it in the right hands, and this is going to be something that absolutely is remastered for the US audience. Grace Point, yeah. With Skylar from Breaking Bad, it was like her next project.
Oh, I do remember that. That's right. Okay,
Michael Pena was in that. You know what I mean? And it was like, Broadchurch is so good. I understand why they were like, we need to give more of this to a broader audience or whatever. But it just cheapens the story when you mass produce it, you know. Yeah. But I just wanted to say I loved Anatomy of a Fall.
They said that they were going to announce in like 10 years. They were going to say, okay, we'll finally let you know if she did it or not.
Oh,
because they wrote it. I mean, yes, they wrote it in such a way where we don't know, but they sure as hell had to know if she did it or not.
I definitely walked away. That was the thing. When the credits rolled, I go, okay, they're making me think, did it happen or did it not? And they didn't give me the answer. And from first viewing, I feel like I have an answer, but it's definitely something that I'm like, let me watch this again and catch all of those minute. Oh man, there's such great dialogue. There's such great back and forth with all of the characters. There's so many great moments. Do you remember? I'm going to briefly mention. Do you remember the movie Twisters that just came out this year?
Yeah.
That they never kissed. That was something they talked about. The two leads, they never kissed, but there was all this chemistry. This and that. Anatomy of the Fall has a really great moment where it's like, I feel like there's been chemistry here.
Her and the lawyer.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And there's even a moment where there's a physical touch, but they don't do it. And it's like, okay, that's what I liked about this movie, is that they're giving you what you want, but not giving you what you want.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's more interesting than like just throwing a bunch of exposition at you up top.
Than just saying, this is it, you know? No, it is something that I've just been thinking about. I watched it over about 3 days while I was doing things, and I just was hyper focused on it when I could be.
Yeah.
It was a great movie. I really wanted Ed here because that was the whole bit I was doing. I just felt like Ed would really want to talk about this. I was like, I bet Ed'll feel bad if I mention this movie when he's not here.
Well, we can talk about it again, maybe at an anniversary screening, whatever.
Sure.
But I was gonna say, what did you think about the dog?
Okay. So the entire time I was like, man, they made a big deal about this dog and he's not in the movie a lot. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, okay. All right. This is what they're doing. Okay. Did y'all talk about it? Can I say it? Can I just spoil it real quick?
Spoilers for the dog of Anatomy of the Fall.
Spoilers. Anatomy of the Fall. Now streaming on Disney Plus. I was like, what's the dog? Like, what's the whole dog thing? And then at one point he was like, I don't want my mom to be here anymore. And he had like the court ordered person and she was in another room. And then he was like, here, dog, eat all these pills. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? What the fuck? Yeah. Why are you doing that? And then like 2 scenes later, they save the dog and the lady goes, why did you do that? And I was like, let me lock in for a second, because why? And he was like, I remember her saying that my dad took all these pills. And he had this whole theory, this like scientific experiment he was doing where he was like, she said that my dad took all these pills because he was trying to kill himself and he threw up. And then the dog ate the pills and he was sick. And I gave him all these pills to see if he was going to react the same way. And he did. So that proves that my dad was suicidal.
Right.
And yada, yada, yada. And I was like, you know what, man? What a fucking gamble that you took.
Yeah.
And you really were confident that you were going to figure. Yeah, and honestly, at that point, because he has a line of dialogue, who's like, make the dog. He's like telling the lady, like, make the dog throw up. He's dying. And I was like, oh, well, bitch, you did
this. Yeah.
You know?
No, I got to ask you to rewatch that scene, because that is probably, out of all the performances that we had, that dog had one of the best performances I've ever seen in a lot of people, because that dog looked like he was about to die. I don't know how they pulled off with that training, but I'm like at awe at how this dog was able to perform so eloquently.
I was thinking about that while I was watching. I was like, you know, like when you think about a dog, an animal, whatever that's like trained for movies, you can always tell, right? Like the dog is like looking over here, and everyone else is kind of looking over here.
It hits its mark, you know what I mean? Very
exactly.
clearly,
and you're like, okay. And there were some moments in this movie where the dog did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, yo, bro, did y'all just fucking feed that dog pills?
Yeah.
Like, why did
that's what it felt like too. I was like, is this legal? Because it's not, you know, it's French.
Yo, that's not American.
No,
we don't do that shit here, okay? No, I was I just was so excited to actually watch this movie. You guys talked so much about it. I was expecting it to be one way, and I couldn't devote the attention that I wanted to, so I was hesitant. But
especially with that runtime, it's a commitment.
Yeah, there's so many things. Y'all know me, and but the fact that I it hooked me pretty quickly. The acting is phenomenal. She's so good.
So, and she was nominated for, or she was in
two
nominated
Oscars.
Yeah. That
year. And so now I'm trying to watch that Nazi movie, and I'm like, I don't really fucking want to watch a Nazi movie, but
I think you could probably pass that.
I understand.
I don't think you would probably. I don't think you would like it, to be honest.
Well, to be fair, I was reading something the other day that was like, we need to challenge ourselves more. Like, we need to not be so knee jerk, whatever towards things. And it's like, I don't support Nazis. I don't love what they did, obviously, but it's like, I should be able to sit and watch that movie and go, what do I pull from that? You know?
Right. I'm just saying, you don't like to watch 1940 movies. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't like to watch movies that were literally shot in the 1940s. No, that's correct. But is it a movie set in the 1940s? Yeah, I can do that.
But I guess it's just like, it's a very particular taste, you know?
Listen, I tell you this, she was so good in this movie. If it's the same year, 2 different movies, 2 different vibes, I'm willing to give it a shot because she was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The other scene, I think I mentioned it earlier, but the moment of the movie was her back and forth with her husband, where they were fighting about, like, he was like, I want my time back. Yeah. And she was like, that's your problem, basically. I cannot tell you how do I say this? I was so in love with that scene. It was so good. The way the juxtaposition between both of them, with him, like, I felt what he was saying. I don't feel like you're giving me the space to do this. But then she would turn around and be like, you're not giving yourself the space to do this.
Yeah.
And she has this really great line where she's like, you were this, you were that, and then you woke up and you were 40. And I was like, oh man, dude, like, that is such a good line.
Yeah.
About, because she was defending herself, you know, she was saying, like, don't put this all on me.
And you know what? She's a stronger character and stronger person. And then you got into this relationship with me. You knew what you were getting yourself into.
I said it earlier. Said it earlier, but like, some people are very touchy about the cheating angle, and she's very adamant that, like, yeah, I did have an affair or whatever. And so naturally, the movie wants to paint, not the movie, but they want you to kind of paint her as a viewer as the bad guy, right? Like, you cheated and that makes you bad. But the way that argument goes back and forth, you go, I really see both sides of what you're saying.
Yeah.
And she's like, your inability to grow or be strong or to rise to your ambitions is not on me. And I fucked up, but I admitted to those fuck ups, and you're not even admitting to yourself what is wrong with you. What a great back and forth of dialogue. And then they cut to the court and they're like, explain it. Oh my God, dude. And I feel what she's saying also. She, like, the therapist at one point is like, she was bad, she was this, she was this, she was that, and he was upset at her. And she goes, yeah, but if it was the other way around and I was dead and he was here, you know, my therapist could say the exact same thing.
Exactly.
And oh man, this was such a great, like, did she do it or did she not do it? And then the way they frame it between not only her, but her friend, the lawyer, who's her lawyer, but also her son. And he has some really great moments of just really coming to terms with, did my mom kill someone? There's a really great moment at the end of the movie when it all wraps up and she gives her son a hug. And I just sat there for a moment and thought, if I were in his shoes and my mom was hugging me right now, like, would I instinctually push her away?
Mhm.
Like, if you did it, if you actually killed my dad, and then I eventually come to the terms of, I think you did that.
Mm-hmm.
Am I in danger? Are you going to kill me? And that was something that sat with me for a minute as I was watching that movie. I was just like, the pain that he is feeling is so heavy. I lost my dad. I'm about to lose my mom potentially.
Yeah,
but even if she comes back, is she the bad guy?
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean for me and my safety? And I just was like, I loved this movie. I couldn't believe how much I'm ready to watch it again immediately.
It doesn't help that, an important fact, if you haven't seen this movie and are interested, the kid's blind.
Is he? Because that was something I asked a lot, was like, he's not blind, he's like legally blind, right?
Yeah, I guess he's like not completely, but he is impaired.
No, there were some scenes where I was like, oh, he's not blind, because he walked up on the body, he saw the body right away. But then there's a moment where he like walks through the attic and he's like grabbing all the beams, to walk towards the window. And I was like, well, fuck, are you blind? Like, can you see, And then they get these shots of his eyes and they're blue. And I'm like, what kind of blue are they,
Yeah.
No, I really wanted Ed here just to say, I just felt like Ed would want to talk about this movie too. So I was just doing a bit, and
I love it. There you go.
Yeah,
The Fall Guy. Check it out now on Disney Plus.
I'm a fall guy.
You're a Fall Guy. If you're a Fall Guy too, let us know in the comments down below. So you watched a movie that we all raved about.
A last season movie, right?
Yeah.
Did you watch one?
I did. Civil War. I finally watched Civil War.
There you go.
Alex Garland, Civil War. Yeah, there was just a moment where I was like, I think the time is right. It feels right. I've been catching up on some other movies. I watched The Devil, what was it called? Late Night with the Devil and all these things that. This is what I want to talk about. Civil War. I love this movie.
Yes.
I think this is going to be definitely like on my top 10 for sure list. But also I just recently watched it. I feel like for me, when I watch movies, I have to let it wash over me. And then it takes me a long time for me to process things. Just like it takes me a long time to process
back to it, maybe.
Yeah, come back to it too. So I immediately after I finished it, I actually replayed the first like 10 minutes of it again. Cause I wanted to understand the book ending of it all. Cause there is like a book end to it. And so it's okay. Behind the scenes moment, there is, I guess, quasi spoiler alert for Civil War, but there's a moment near the end of the movie where there's like 5 minutes left. I've had to pause the movie because I was like, I can't handle what's about to happen because I know what's going to happen and I don't want to see it. And I texted you guys and I was like, guys, I know what's going to happen. I can't see, Kristen Dunst runs across the hallway, is getting her picture taken. And I just don't want to see what happens next.
Yeah.
You guys told me to finish watching it. I did finish watching it. And it's exactly what I thought was going to happen. It was heart-wrenching, but it was, it's fine.
A very tense movie. That was through most of the movie, to be honest. Like, there's very few quiet moments, and every other scene is like, it's a civil war, right? That's the picture they're painting. Every moment I could be killed, or taken hostage or what have you. It's very tense.
I like, there's two things there's a lot of things to like about this movie. I mean, we could talk about technique, we can talk performance, we could talk about themes, we can talk about execution, sound design, color grade, whatever. There's so many things that you could dive into it. But the two things that I wanted to call out for me was, I always like generational stories. Like that's why I like currently like House of the Dragon, because you're dealing with people from one generation and then the younger generation comes up and they have their own different views. And it's always interesting to see how two different generations can have a different perspective on life, where it's like we have all this perspective and context and you don't, and you're just coming at it with this vision. And so the story follows this, older professional photographer who kind of rolls into it and does it because she wants to kind of make a difference in the world and like I hope that my images will cause some change. And then she kind of goes through an identity crisis where it's like, well, did anything really change? And then you have the younger photographer who is aspiring to be like her, romanticizing her, you know, and wanting to just get into the shit of it, you know. And it reminded me a little bit about like, you know, the TikTok culture of the day now, where it's like people just want to mainline to the popularity, to the main thing, no matter what. Like they don't really care about the topic. And this is like painting it very much black and white. Like I understand that, you know. And there are some nuances.
It's literally black and white.
It literally is black and white. And they do a really good job of doing that, because she takes photos, and when she takes a photo, it appears black and white. And when Kirsten Dunst takes photos, it's color. So it's showing like she has more nuanced than the younger character who's a little bit more black and white with life. I just like that generational difference in how they both approach things, where she admires her and then she kind of outpaces her at the end, where you see there's another guy involved who's like a middle person between those two characters. He's kind of protecting her at the beginning of the movie. He's like, don't go. And then by the end of the movie, she's like out and about, moving out by herself carelessly. And I'm gonna tell you what,
really,
she is going to die. Like,
100%.
She is 100% going to die in the future, because she's carelessly going out there, where Kristen is like, she's going out there carefully.
She exactly plotting those moments specifically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a really great, I just, the two really quick shots I'll give you to showcase that moment for the Callie character is there's a character that dies and she is in horror, right? She screams. There's a couple of moments actually, but there's like that first initial moment at the gas station. There's the main character, that one main character that dies. And she is in horror. She is scared. I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, she's in the shit and she smiles.
Yeah.
You know, it's like she buys into the thrill of it all. And you're absolutely right. Kirsten Dunst is very methodical about what she's doing because she's done it before.
And she has a point of view of interest. Like, I need to do this to change the kind of the world. Is kind of
absolutely. It's bigger than me.
Yeah, it's bigger.
Whereas
exactly.
Callie is more of like, I want, and yeah, I mean, that is a young person's attitude, but it's different because there's this big worldly event happening. It's one thing for you to grow up in a stable time where you go, I'm all about me, and then you grow and you mature and you learn. But what does that mean when you don't get that opportunity to grow and mature and learn? You just are thrown into the thick of it.
I think there's also the whole like idea of like truth, you know, because literally like people are disagreeing on what's real, what's true. You know, some people are ignorant and they don't want to see what's happening outside in the real world. You know, like, oh, everything's fine. And then there's like shooters around. They're like, what kind of American are you? What is real? What's not? Even like these are photographers. They're taking photos of real life things. And even then it's like, it doesn't reveal the entire truth of it all. You know, and I was thinking about like, okay, I always try to think of like, what is the director's point of view? What is his like overall thesis? How does he see life? And I'm thinking of Ex Machina, Annihilation, Men, and this one. And there's just something about like, what is real? What is not real? What does it matter? You know, does perspective matter? Does context? Like, I don't know. I think it does a really good job of playing around with that, because everyone's asking questions of like, what do you believe? What's real? What's not? And the whole, the beginning starts out with, Nick Offerman, who's like, what is it? I had wrote the line here. He said, where are you? Civil War.
Where he's like giving the speech, you know, the so-called Western forces and Texas and California.
Yeah, I can't find this. Like people are saying this is the greatest victory of like war of ever or something like that. Just saying something ridiculous and lying. No, and then they do these like cool techniques too. I noticed it a kind of second time around. They have these like shots where it's like not perfect. Like if you look at the edges,
they're fuzzy.
I call them these like chroma RGB shots where the edges start bleeding a little bit. So like you'll see something and you see red, green, blue, almost like a rainbowy effect around them. It's just like a lens distortion. And so I always noticed it popped up when people were feeling like uncertain or unsure about their choices. So their last shot, Kaylee takes the picture the ending, and like the background is like completely clean. And as the music begins to rise and she slows down, that chroma effect comes in, and it's just like, oh, there's so many little choices and decisions, and you can feel like if you watch this 3 or 4 times, there's so many different messages you can get it from, like the state of the nation, the state of generations, the way people approach danger, the way people approach. I like this movie a lot, so I'm excited to
I'm so glad you liked it. I texted a friend, our friend Josh, at the end of the movie, and I was like, you got to watch Civil War. And he was like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm not going to like this. It feels, because the trailers make it feel one type of way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I just don't think I'm going to really like this. And I don't know if you ever watched it, but it was just something that at the end of the movie, not only did I feel so like the tense, the action, you know, all of that, but yeah, it just made me kind of like question, what does it mean to go through life? Mm-hmm. And when life is at most extreme, when it's at most mundane, you know?
Yeah.
They do really great shots of that, where like they go to the gas station and we want to buy gas, and they're like, your money can buy you a sandwich. That's about as much. And they're like, no, we have Canadian dollars. Okay, you can get gas. Yeah. And in that same exact scene, there's an execution, and it's like you go from that mundane to that like super extreme moment.
These are like literally living next to each other. You know, these strong, huge dichotomies and contrasts of living in perspective, just rubbing shoulders. And how are people surviving? I also like at the end when they're shooting it, because they're shooting it with their camera and they're shooting with guns. There's a moment where they're like shooting from this, they're crossing the hallway. They're going like, and then you keep watching the movie, and then later you see Kirsten Dunst's character doing the same thing. She's like, da, da, da. As if she's shooting the photo as if the same way that they're kind of moving around with a gun. She's walking like side to side, like you know, with she's got a little technique with it. So
yes. Sorry, just while we're talking about that one moment, can I say I loved? She was in this movie for like all of 30 seconds. It's like the president's chief of staff or whatever. She comes out and they all have the guns pointed on her, and she's like, he's willing to talk, right?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it, so forgive me if I'm
you're right.
Yeah. But she's like, hey, he's willing to talk. He's in this room. And it's like, knowing how that ends, she really was just like, I will open the door for you. Let me go. You know? Mm-hmm. And I don't remember exactly what happens to her, but just like that. Oh. What? It's okay. You can tell me. I'll watch the movie again. But it's just this sense of like, I will usher you to this moment. And she, the way she was like, he's willing. The question also was like, he's gone, right? The president's gone. He's not even here anymore. We're doing all this. He's not even here. And you get all the way to the thick of it, and she's like, he's in that room right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
In that sense of like, oh, fuck, like there's two factions coming right at him, the press and the military. And just to be the person standing in between those, like, and that's just a small moment of how I felt through the whole film, right? Like, there's always like this tension of, I don't really want to be here. I don't really want to be in between this moment.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I'll rant about this movie that I saw 3 months ago that I barely remember, but it was a great movie. I had a good time. It
has a lot of themes to it. I like it because it's just so, you know, at any angle you look at it, you can find something new and different to talk about.
No, this is like a rewatch for sure.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. I know, Miguel, this week.
Yeah.
You know who's coming out this week?
Tell me.
It's Joker. Folie à deux.
Folie à deux.
You watching this movie? I'm having this conversation in real time.
I'll for sure watch this movie. Well, I will watch this movie more than Megalopolis. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we haven't seen Megalopolis, but we will. Every time, you know, what I'm seeing on the internet is making me want to watch Megalopolis a lot more and more.
See,
and yes,
that's
I know
great.
I'm calling it Lips at the end.
Yeah. No, see, that's what's great is because everything that I send and you're like, oh, I really want to watch this now. It makes me go, I fucking don't want to watch this movie.
The more that I went from not wanting to now wanting to. No, I'm a little bit sadistic that way, where it's like, oh, this movie's terrible. I gotta know why.
See, I'm the exact opposite. Y'all caught me with the trailer a couple weeks ago. We watched the trailer, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, maybe I want to watch this." And now I'm like, I would be so mad if you were like, "We have to watch this movie."
I know.
I'd be like, I'm not. And I'll just say it now. I will watch this movie eventually, but I am not going to the theater.
You're not going out to, yeah. No, yeah. We'll see what happens. But I guess we're going to try to watch Joker 2.
Yeah, surprisingly, I'll watch that one. Let's go.
Yeah, I did rewatch Joker again because I feel like it's been a while since I've watched it in theaters.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, like, in discourse, this movie's this is the life. It came out, people loved it. And then it had a small camp of people who didn't like it. It was very divisive.
Sure.
And then Joaquin Phoenix won Academy for this performance. Hildur won for the best soundtrack. And, as time has gone on and now we have this one coming up, that camp has gotten louder and has kind of taken up the space of like, this movie was never really good. And
we shouldn't be.
Yeah, the quiet camper, like the smaller camp, not quiet, the smaller camp of like, it's just the hits of Martin Scorsese with The Taxi Driver and King of Comedy all in one movie. And so it's been a while since I've watched it. And then I was like, I wonder what my thoughts are rewatching it again.
Okay.
And I forget, did you like this movie when you watched it or?
Yeah, it was one of those that I was like, oh, that actually was kind of good. Yeah. That's how I felt. Yeah.
Because I talked to someone this week and they were like, yeah, I was talking to my friends about our favorite Jokers. Thank God none of them said Joaquin Phoenix. And it's just everyone's so very strong opinionated
divisive.
about. Yeah.
Yep.
So I went into it and I don't think Ed likes it as much either. I think Ed's not a big fan of this movie. So I already watched it.
Yeah.
And I don't care if I make enemies today or not.
Let's go.
And I'm realizing I'm just the wild card of the podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, how could you like that? How could he hate it?
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck it. I didn't mind the movie. I liked it. Like,
I love that you couldn't even say I love this movie. You're like, I didn't mind it.
Yeah. Well, it just I feel sick. You're gonna get assaulted if you liked this movie, and it's just
you got to be very neutral. Okay,
yeah. I mean, people talk about it at the office like the fucking dumbass movie, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm not gonna say anything.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah. They're gonna come for me for that one. No,
that's good.
Listen, they say it's like, oh, it's the best hits. Well, you know what? Maybe I like a cover song. Maybe I like the rock and roll version of that pop song. Maybe I like,
you know what? Like you could have sat there and made a Joker movie that was like super whatever into the comics, and it was Batman oriented, and it was very specific Joker
put more
story.
Batman shit than I thought they were going to in this movie.
Right?
They had fucking Bruce Wayne in this movie. I was like,
he's right there.
Whoa. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, if they want to do greatest hits for it, it's like Joker has always been this like enigma of a character, and I think in some storylines they get very specific, and other storylines they go very vague. And it's like, if this is the definitive story of Joker for their universe, for their side universe, let it be,
and like,
let it be. Let it be.
And some people are just like, wow, what's the message it's trying to say, that like, if we don't treat people poorly, they'll all become serial killers or something. And it's like, maybe it's not about having a good message at the end. Maybe it's just, and I've said this before in other movies, but like, maybe it's like an expression of depression where it's like, it's not supposed to be like, oh, so bad people are good, huh? Like, no, I think sometimes things are just things. And like, people are like, well, I could never see a person do that. Well, I mean, look, I'm a pretty comfortable minded person right now, but did I see some things in that movie where I was like, if I was a little crazier, you know what? I get it. Like, I don't want people to think, oh, Luis is a psycho now.
Let me take a half step back before I respond. Yeah, you go ahead, Luis.
You know what I mean? Don't piss me off. No, I mean, listen, I'm not going to kill anybody. Like I'm not promoting.
No, that's so funny.
That type of, but it's like, there are moments where like, oh, I kind of understand what's happening. Like, it doesn't mean it's right. It's like, you know, I'm a little bit whatever, but it's not like it's far from from possibility.
It could happen, right?
I could go there. You know what I mean? I could go there. Don't piss me off. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think there's just like, humans will react.
Yeah.
Will react. If you put them if you corner them in a situation, like the way he's infantile, the way that he's brought up.
I was just about to say. Okay, so I think about characters like this sometimes because I have a son, and I personally don't think he's on that track or whatever, but I think about these like very like tragic characters as adults, and you think about them like what brought you to that moment, and so I think that's where I sympathize with these characters somewhat. It's like I think about their child versions, and it's like was there a parent that loved you? Was there someone that ushered you into this life, or were you like did life beat you down into this moment? And I think that's what happened for his character, right? Like life just beat him down, and then he grew up and was beaten down even further.
And how do you liberate yourself if not from that oppression?
Yes.
And
I see what you're saying.
One way a human could react in being oppressed is in this way that, in some sick way, is liberating to him, but is obviously really bad,
And as an audience member, you're not supposed to sit there and look at the whole world view of it. You're watching it through his eyes, right? And it's like he is the protagonist of that story
of his life,
for better or worse, right? And it's
exactly.
I am supposed to watch it and understand what he's going through, even if I don't subscribe to what he's doing.
Exactly. I'm not saying like we should, we're not praising him or anything. It's just an expression of depression and the situation played out where this is not a fable. It's not like something to tell your kids at night. But
no, for sure. And
also,
that's what I was saying earlier.
He gets confident, like especially when he's got, I don't know, and he moves like the Joker too at the end, where I really can't imagine Joaquin Phoenix rewatching old Batman movies and saying, "Ooh, I gotta play the Joker like this guy." Like, I think it's interesting that he knew what the Joker moves like at the end. I'm thinking specifically near after he shoots Robert Downey Jr.'s character. Like the way he kind of carries himself, he's just like
everything.
And he just move. It's like, I think you locked into that, the facade of the Joker just by doing the character work. And so,
at the end of the movie, did you go, I can't wait to watch the second one? Or were you like, I can't believe they're making a second one?
I was like, this is it. They're not going to make another one. And then when the second one came out, I was like, I can't believe they're making a second one. Obviously not a lot of good things are coming out from it. But beyond
that, as someone who just watched the first movie again, do you think like, I kind of want to see where they go with it? Or are you like, I'm good?
This is the problem, I guess. Okay. I feel two ways about it. I mean, my honorable side's like, no, we're done with this story. And then my like troll side is like, I want more,
Let's see what they do.
Lady Gaga, it's just like, and I don't mind that it's a musical, and I like Lady Gaga, so it's like, I don't know what to say.
We'll see.
We will see. I mean, I am being cautious about the whole thing. I'm not going into it trying to think highly, but
I haven't watched it. For me personally, I haven't watched Joker again in quite some time. And so the idea of like, even for our podcast, we're going to talk about Joker next week. Okay. I would sit through this movie, the second movie, just to be like, okay, what did they do?
Yeah. It's like, right now it's like the pulse. Like what's everybody at right now?
Yeah. I'm trying not to like go in it with a vibe of what everyone else is talking about. I'm like, let me just go in and see.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Let us know in the comments. DM us if you hated this. I'm sorry. I know I made enemies tonight. They're like, this fucking guy. This guy sucks at.
No, let him comment down below. Let's fucking
That's why I
fight him.
This whole thing. People can't like the same thing. The only thing people can like is air.
Listen, here's the thing that I want to say at the end of this episode is that we came into it tonight. We pressed record, and I was like, we're going to be here for 20 minutes because we have nothing to talk about. We're at 2 hours right now.
Damn.
Okay. Yo, here we go. Okay.
We did it again, and without Ed. No, I can't wait for him to come back. I don't know when he's going to come back, but pray for Ed. Put him in your prayers.
He's fine. He's just a new dad. He's capable. He's going to be okay. Okay. He's just he's just going through it right now because it's a newborn, and we've all been there. Luis,
I've been there. I hear it's scary. The first few months, I hear the 3 months that are tough.
I just want to say that I feel like you and I, or maybe like someone else and us, could talk about this with you, like in the future, just off the podcast. Like, it feels like you're harboring a lot of anxiety about this, and
I'm ready, but I'm also like prepared and worried. But it's also everything. It's all the emotions.
Yeah. Listen, as parents who have been through a few enough years, I feel like we can give you some guidance. So,
people are like, that guy shouldn't have a child. He's thinking about being
I disagree.
the Joker. He's like, that guy's thinking about being the Joker.
Was like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, who can I kill next? No,
I was going to say this in the podcast earlier about the Penguin, but after watching and this is such a random thought. But I'm sorry. After watching the Penguin, I hurt my leg a little bit. Like it went to sleep, or I just like sprained it a little. So you know what I started to do instinctively? Don't tell me. I went to the kitchen like. I'm so impersonal, like you just put it on the TV and then I'm that character. You know what I
mean? You fucking take your shoe off and you're like your maligned toes. You're like, what the fuck happened there? Oh, that's so good. Okay, I know who you're doing for Halloween. Yeah. You'll be what's his name? Gambit.
Yeah, and I'll be the Penguin. I'll be Ozcob.
Yeah.
What a dumbass transformation.
We didn't talk about that. I just feel like that's one of those things that we're not really going to subscribe to.
Also, in the show, they called him Oswald. So don't come at me saying that he's Ozcob, because someone on the show said it multiple times, saying Oswald. Putting it out there. Okay. Thanks for
what an episode.
Yeah, what an episode. Thank you for listening. Tune in next week. We're going to talk about Joker Folie à Deux. And until that, next time, it's been me, Luis Gonzalez, and with me's been
Miguel Sanchez.
And until next time, later, Gators.